Hey, everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Christy Brower here with my sister, co host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver.
Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
Oh, I'm a hot mess. So
Uh-oh.
please forgive. I have no idea what will come out of my mouth. I had
Do
a
not have COVID. That's all I'm saying. Don't do
No,
it.
I don't think I have COVID. I have a medical treatment. Well, it's an infusion that I have to have, frequent every so often for RA.
Mm-hmm.
And it was infusion day, and it just really rolled me this time. Way more. Last
Damn
time it
it.
was so easy, and this time I have been a weird, disoriented mess all afternoon. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, we will
But I'm
because
here.
we have taken on something that I don't know if we knew quite what we were getting into,
There
but
are
we
really not enough people watching this
damn
page to
sure
holy
do
shit.
now. Yeah. Okay. So we have started covering the Robert Tellis murder trial. Today was day 2. We
Mhm.
streamed it. I'm in the process of getting the opening statements up on our channel this afternoon. I was trying to get all that done while we were finishing up with today's hearings when my power just disappeared for
Yeah.
about an hour. So, um, okay. This is the case of Jeffrey Gehrman. It is not German, as we have been
Yes,
saying this entire time.
I
It's
know.
Jeffrey Gehrman. He
We're
is,
idiots.
who know? I mean, it is spelled German. So he is was an investigative journalist in Las Vegas,
Mhm.
and he was stabbed to death in 2022. And this is the trial of the man who is accused of murdering him. Hi, Mars. Mars is in the chat visiting all of us.
Hey, Mars.
Um,
They promised me they were
this,
going to be in our chat tonight. So,
oh, well, cool. Okay. Um, so this is the personalities in this trial are, this is some high quality entertainment. This is who I refer to as
characters.
Megamind. He is the
Mhm.
defendant. His name is Robert uh, Tellis, but I like to refer to him as Megamind because he has a giant head
Oh my
and
gosh.
really weirdly expressive eyebrows. The
Mhm.
dude has no ability to control his facial expressions, like, at all.
He really needed to
It's
attend the Chad Daybell School of Attending Trials.
it is like polar opposite. If you did a 180 from Chad Daybell, it is this guy.
Mhm.
I'm just going to show you, and this is a pretty mild example. I'll have better ones, but here is a little bit from the trial. Or no, this was from yesterday during opening statements. Watch his eyes.
Focusing on his family. The surveillance that's being conducted by Metro Intelligence, I mean, they've got him going to Home Depot, picking up food at Chipotle. He's with family. He's home.
I mean, what is he even looking at? He's up, down, up, down, up, down. And today it was the eyebrows.
Yeah.
And it was this
All
picture,
of the
Katie, that you sent me.
This is
This.
my favorite.
This.
What
There
is
was a
that?
lot of this. What even is that? What is that? What is he doing? There was a
And
lot of like people said it's probably self-soothing, and I think it was. He had his hands
oh,
around his
maybe
face a
so.
lot, and then his
Yeah.
eyebrows are up and down. I can't even do what this dude can do. I
Yeah.
okay. I get Botox for migraines, and I just had it last week, and I literally can barely move my eyebrows at all. So, Katie, can you move your eyebrows a little bit? Because I feel like I'm making movements. They are not happening,
Not
and they don't all go together.
not
Yeah,
like
it's
Robert
that.
Tellis.
It's like eyebrows
But
way up and eyes this big. That's another reason why I called him Megamind. Look at those
mhm.
eyebrows and those giant eyes.
Mhm.
This dude looks like that the entire time.
He's like
And
Megamind's not so smart cousin.
yeah, because he is a criminal mastermind. He is not.
Oh, no.
So what happened?
He is, however, an attorney.
Well, kind of a disgraced one. He's not actually licensed.
No, yeah, definitely disgracement. He actually tried to
Yeah.
defend himself early on in this trial. He
Yeah.
just, or in this, in all of this, he just was going to defend himself, and then eventually went, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing."
Yeah, no, and he definitely didn't and still doesn't. Also, neither does his attorney. There have been some humdingers today.
Hmm.
Um, so somebody said he looks like Boss Baby. Somebody said he looks like
Hmm.
a bald Donny Osmond. He does. He is a very strange looking man. I'm going to show you another thing that completely freaked me out about him. This is from some of the evidentiary photos that they were showing today. This is what his hands look like.
They notice on one of his fingers, he has a Band-Aid. They ask him to remove that Band-Aid, and he has a cut injury on one of his fingers.
Are those the longest fingers you've ever seen in your entire life?
Hmm.
Are those ET fingers? Is this guy an alien, possibly?
I think it's.
He's a very
I
strange
mean,
little
he
man.
is near in Vegas. They're not that far from what, Area 51? I
That is
mean,
true. That
did
is
he
true.
escape? That's what I'd like
Gumby
to
face
know.
would work well, or just straight up eyebrows, because those eyebrows never stop moving. So
Yeah.
here's what happened. Uh, well loved by many, and hated by others, like Robert Tellis. Here is the victim. This is Jeffrey Gehrman.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey Gehrman, he was 69 when he died. And he was an investigative journalist, and he wrote for the
Las Vegas Review, I believe.
the Las Vegas something review. And he did
Review
like
Journal. Las Vegas Review
review
Journal.
journal. He like exposed mob bosses, like he did some real serious shit. So he starts covering Robert Tellis. So Robert Tellis was the elected city administrator of estates for Clark County there in Las Vegas. And so his job was to help oversee estates of people like whose family live far away and need help selling a house or cleaning out a house,
Hmm.
or securing valuables, or people who die that don't have any known heirs or
Yeah.
whatever. Like that was his job. He oversaw a whole office of people who did that. Well, turns out Tellis is a jackass, and a lot of stuff started coming out from his office that he was abusive, he was a bully, he was like had favoritism. The chick he was having an affair with was,
Right.
everybody's his favorite person, and everybody else could fuck off. And he
Hmm.
considered himself a trailblazer that was going in there to clean up this place, and he's alleged all kinds of nefarious stuff going on in this office, which both could be true.
Right.
But
Both could be true, but boy, the people who worked for him, whew, they don't have a good
they
thing to say.
they don't like him. Yeah. So all of this information gets to Jeffrey Gehrman, and Jeffrey
Mhm.
Gehrman's like, okay.
Right. But
I'm
by way of some of the employees.
Yeah, they're reaching out to him going, you got to cover this dude because there's some shit going on in this office. So he starts writing these pieces, and he's giving Tellis a chance to speak, but then he's saying what other people are saying as well and what the concerns are and stuff. And, this is getting more and more heated between him and Gehrman.
Hmm.
And then we have, here's some tweets. I'm going to have to get the bigger one. I can't see that one. He starts tweeting about Gehrman because he's, got all these articles out about him. Here's a tweet: looking forward to lying smear piece number 4 by Gehrman. I think he's mad that I haven't crawled into a hole and died. Wife hears rustling in the trash. Her, honey, is there a wild animal in the trash? Me, no dear, looks like it's Gehrman just going through our trash for his 4th story on me. Oh, Jeff. Gehrman texted me to tell me Article 3 is coming out. I'm sure Article 4 will come out soon enough. Jeff, I know you are obsessed. but I'm over you. Like, it was a lot of this. And then there was some uglier stuff. There's some voicemails in which, he threatens to kill him.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So
Turns out that don't do that if you're going to do it.
if you're going to then kill him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then what happens is that Robert Tellis comes up for re-election. And the Clark County residents who have read all this stuff are like, oh, we don't like this guy. And he lost he got primaried out of his job.
Yeah. Dude is wholly unlikable. Wow.
Oh, I mean, yeah, something is very off with this person. So not long after that, Mr. Gehrman gets murdered.
Yeah.
So what happened is, this happened in 2022. Gehrman's neighbors from across the street notice, that like they've lived across from each other for like 20 years. So they are very familiar with each other's schedules. And like he didn't do his normal stuff one day, and then his garage door is just wide open all day one day. The neighbor tries to call him, texts him, no response. And they're like, well, that's weird,
Yeah.
And they think, well, maybe he's in the hospital or something. So they go over and they close his garage door because they're like, we don't want anybody to break into his house. Next day, he's still not answering anywhere. And the neighbor goes over to see if he can see what's going on, and he finds Jeff Gehrman stabbed to death, sort of in some bushes on the side of his garage. And his body had been laying there about a day. He was already beginning decomposition at that point. Because this is Vegas.
Right.
And it was early September, so it's at 100 million degrees.
Probably still really hot. Yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, they call the police. The police come, and they start kind of looking into what's been going on with Jeff Gehrman lately. And people immediately start pointing him toward Robert Tellis. Like, well, he's kind of done these hit pieces on this guy. And, he's made some threats, and there's been some pretty public animosity. So maybe you ought to be looking into this guy. Well, then they also start gathering up surveillance video from other people's houses, these freaking Ring doorbells and everything everybody's got now. Very helpful.
People across the street, their surveillance system, holy cow, rock stars.
So it turns out there is an actual video of the murder. So I'm going to play that for you. I'm going to try and stay. Well, I think that this is the one. I think that this came from the prosecution's opener. So I think she explains it. So you're going to see a person wearing a giant Holly Hobby straw hat and an orange reflector jacket with long sleeves and black pants. And you will come to learn later, really shitty cheap tennis shoes. We'll get to that. But you see them come up, get in the bushes on the side of Jeff Gehrman's garage. Then you see Jeff Gehrman open his garage door and come out the garage and go around the same side. And then you see sort of a tussle and a lot of flashing of orange jacket guy. And then orange jacket guy, after a few minutes, comes out of the bushes and walks away. And they have surveillance watching him go and get in his maroon Denali. Guess who drives a maroon Denali?
Maroon Denali XLT, which we happen to know because a family member just bought one and was on the hunt for one for a while. They're kind of hard to come by. They are not
gigantic. You can't miss them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I teach my brother-in-law. I call it the limo. So let's watch the video and then we'll explain some more.
Going further towards Gehrman's house on Bronze Circle, and then ultimately to the side of the house. And then in sequence, after the assailant goes to the side of the house, that's when Mr. Gehrman opens his garage door. He goes to the side and he's attacked. The assailant leaves Mr. Gehrman there in the rocks, has his bag with him, and walks down the street. He goes further down the street toward Wintergreen, and he ultimately goes back to that maroon SUV. That maroon SUV, though, then proceeds south on Wintergreen, and it actually heads back in the direction of Gehrman's house.
Okay, so that is an actual video, and I know it's hard to see, but I don't know. I was like, why the hell would he be wearing that orange jacket? Yeah. But listener Shannon, who lives in Las Vegas, not far from where this occurred, said that is a very similar getup to what a lot of people who are doing landscaping and construction work are wearing. They wear those big hats and they're wearing that orange. And so she said he was probably trying to just fit in, like look like somebody that was out there doing a job, carrying a bag that maybe had like tools in it for doing landscaping, and probably also had the murder weapon. So they get this, right?
Yeah.
And then they see they can follow on surveillance camera, they can follow that Denali all the way out of Robert Tellis's neighborhood and into Gehrman's neighborhood, and then back out of Gehrman's neighborhood into Tellis's neighborhood. Like they can find it multiple times. So they're like,
dare I say, voluminous video evidence.
Tons of that.
So much.
And yes, he put up a fight. I mean, that took a minute. But you could see the flashing of the orange. You could see the hat showing. But it was like, man, he got Jeff down quickly, because Jeff is there and then he's gone and you don't see him again. You see orange hat guy. Jeff was stabbed 7 times with a bunch of other superficial wounds from fighting. He got he was killed with a cut to the carotid artery.
Yeah.
And he just laid there and bled out because nobody even knew he was there.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't find him till a whole day went by.
Well, and that wouldn't have taken long at all.
No, it wouldn't have. So that's basically what happened. So the police get turned on to Telus within just a few days, about 3 days after they find the body.
Yeah.
They initiate a search warrant at Telus's house, and they find
the weirdest shit.
The weirdest shit. Okay, I don't have all the pictures, but I have some of them. They find, if you remember, he was wearing tennis shoes that look like this.
Mm-hmm.
They were gray with the white, and you could really see the 3 black stripes on the sole.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're searching Telus's house, go in a room with like a big sectional that has recliners, and they pop one of the recliners up, and they find one whole shoe, and then they find this cut-up shoe, and some pieces of shoe, and then they also find a Ziploc bag with all kinds of little tiny pieces of that one shoe in the Ziploc bag.
Like shoe confetti.
Like, did he go home and he's like, fuck, oh my God, what did I do? Get out my wife's best knives and start chopping up my shoes. It's the weirdest thing.
No, you know what it was. It was her sewing scissors. You just know it was.
It was, definitely. Or those Ginsu knives. I don't know.
Yeah.
Remember those? But something, somehow, the plan in his mind was to destroy the evidence by cutting it up into little pieces.
Yeah.
Because they also go in the garage. They find the jacket, and they find the hat also shredded into a bunch of pieces that pretty much go back together in a jigsaw puzzle, and they're their great big wide-brimmed straw hat.
So they're like, absolutely kills me.
I'm like, is he gonna throw pieces away random places? Like, why is he doing it like that? But because he took all that stuff back to his house. They did not find the murder weapon, however.
Yeah.
But this is a lot. So they arrest him for the murder, and he's been in jail with no bail this whole time. Because then they find text messages, voicemails, all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right, Kai. He used both the knives and the sewing scissors. It's the weirdest thing. It's this Ziploc bag all done up with all these bits of shoe in it, and bigger bits of shoe, and then the half shoe and the whole shoe are all under a recliner. It's like he was probably doing it, and his wife and kids came home, so he just stuffed them under the recliner. Like, why were they there? See, I think there was probably blood on the shoe, and that's why that shoe was getting the business.
Yeah. This is a hat, by the way. I found it online.
He cut it up into 12 pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't even. It was. Why wouldn't you cut the hat into smaller pieces?
Right.
Maybe he just hadn't gotten there yet.
They didn't find any blood in the vehicle, but we don't know for sure what he did when he got in the vehicle. There's a lot of questions. Or if there is video of him washing that car in his driveway from another surveillance camera. But here's the real clincher. They find Robert Tellis's DNA under Jeff Gehrman's fingernails.
Yeah.
So, okay, so it seems like slam dunk, open and shut. I still think it is. Yeah. But here's you are right, Angela. He needed every bit of that hat for that noggin. Somebody in the chat earlier said he looks like one of the Coneheads off SNL, and yes, he does. He has a huge dome, and one of the police officers identified him in court. Yeah, that guy with the big bald head over there, and you should have seen Tellis's face. Because the man has no poker face whatsoever.
No. He and Chad are polar opposites. Somebody else in the chat said today, it's just really weird to watch a defendant who knows how to use their eyes. Right?
Oh my God. But his are just everywhere, and his eyebrows and his shocked eyes. And But yeah, he cut up the head too. Like, what? Yeah, DNA planted, supposedly, under his fingernails. Yeah, good luck with that.
Mhm.
Okay, here's the defense. This is what the defense is saying. So Tellus comes into this office, and we come from France. That's awesome.
You're killing me.
And he's going to clean it up because there's all this corruption going on in the administrative estates office, right? That's what he's saying.
Mhm.
And he says that like there are people like working 40 hours a week and then billing for 40 hours of overtime, and there's people like stealing stuff that is being stored and selling it for money that is stuff that should be going to somebody's heir as they're
Yeah.
working on these estates, stuff like that. That's the kind of thing he's been alleging. So he reaches out to a detective whose job it is to investigate like internal corruption within the city. And he tells him all this stuff. And he's like, he says the detective was really into it. Like, oh yeah, he said something weird like, if I see you calling, I'm going to hang up on whoever it is because this is more important. Like, really weird BS. And then
They
the
were all
detective
such a
starts
bunch of
dragging his
characters.
feet, and maybe he's not so into it anymore. And then all this other stuff happens, and there's a lot more detail to it than that. And you watch the defense's opening statements to give you all of that. But he's basically saying that he thinks that Detective Jaffa, I think that's his name, Jaffa, something like that. I didn't want to use his name too much because he is not accused of a crime. But he's alleging basically an alternative to the crime, an alternative scenario, is that this detective was actually in on all that corruption, was getting in on the selling shit and making money kind of situation, and that he was actually worried about getting caught, so he was trying to tell his sweet. But he was really worried about the investigative journalist too, and that he killed Jeff Gehrman and then framed Robert Tellis for it. That's basically not in a very not a lot more detail, but nutshell. That is what he is saying.
Yeah.
Has happened here.
Yeah.
And that he planted all that stuff in his house, and that he planted somehow planted Tellis's DNA under Gehrman's fingernails. I'd like to know how exactly he accomplished that. But that's their alternative to the crime. That's what they're saying. This seems like a you should plead guilty kind of situation, considering how much evidence they have against him.
Yeah.
But they are accusing the police of all kinds of malfeasance and losing evidence and creating evidence. And, there was some implication of that in court today. Well, do you wear it was very John Pryor-ish. Do you wear body cams?
Yeah.
Of course, we all know detectives don't wear body cams. They just don't.
My favorite gotcha moment that wasn't.
Oh my God. This was so good.
With the one detective, and he's the one that helped find the shoes under the recliner. He was behind the recliner, shining a light through. There was another detective that was there kind of in front of the recliner. They both came across the shoes, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So this is what he's discussing, the finding of the evidence and whatnot. Then the defense gets up there and says, would you be surprised to learn that your name is nowhere in the police report? Tries to insinuate that he wasn't even there, his name wasn't even in the report, gives him this big thing, and the detective's like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, your name isn't even there. Would you be surprised to learn that?" That kind of language.
Well, and he was like, "I haven't even read the report, so
Right.
no. I mean, I don't know.
I haven't read the report. I don't know what to say to that.
1,000 pages of discovery, your name does not appear once."
So I want to redirect. The prosecution gets up and they're like, I want to help refresh your memory. We're going to go to this certain page. And he's like, well, read this page right here. What do you see there? Oh, his name. Got it. It was apparently his last name was spelled wrong in one spot or two.
He has kind of an odd last name.
Uh-huh.
and so it was spelled wrong, so it wasn't his name, but it was his like patrol number,
Yeah.
and it was his initials. So it was
Yeah,
very
it was
obviously was him.
the smoking gun that wasn't. That one
Oh
really
yeah.
cracked me up.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really funny. Right, Gran? Why did he keep the clothes and hat? Why did he still have
Yeah.
them and was still in the process of cutting them up into a million pieces? This was, but this guy, when you watch him, when you watch Tellis, that dude has no control over himself at all.
Mm-mm.
His
No.
emotions are all over the face, all over his face. It's almost
Mhm.
like he's having a conversation in his head that he is
Yes.
responding to.
Mhm.
Like some of it, he's responding to things that are said to him.
Mhm.
Like
But
the bald-headed guy over there, he went, just what are you doing? But yeah, this dude has no ability to like be in control. That's pretty
no,
obvious.
he's not self-regulated at all.
No. At one point, so they had these realtors come in to testify. This was absolutely classic.
The
The whole
realtors were
reason
a
for being there was
scream.
listening to these realtors. So they were realtors that worked with him. He has ADHD. It's a lot more than that, man. He doesn't even have control over
According
his
to
own
him.
eyeballs. Yeah, according to him.
Yes.
What disease do you have when you can't control your eyes? I don't know.
Mhm.
Um, so when they worked with realtors who would help them like get contractors to fix up a house and then sell it. Like for
Mhm.
somebody that lives across the country and their great aunt died, that kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
So they bring in this guy who knows Robert Tellis very well, knows him so well that
Mhm.
when he saw on the news the surveillance video, Tellis has a very sort of distinctive gait. He walks kind of weird.
Mhm.
And the guy went, "Oh my God, that's Robert Tellis." Told his business partner and at the time romantic partner,
Mhm.
"Look at this video." Because she also worked with Tellis. And
Yeah.
he's like, "Does that look like Robert Tellis to you?" And I guess they kind of joked. They were like, "Well, that'd be weird, especially because this is Jeffrey Gehrman who
Yeah.
did the hit pieces on him in his office.
Mhm.
Wouldn't that be weird?" And then a couple days later, they see the videos of the car that they are looking for, the maroon Denali. And this realtor's like, "Holy shit, that's Robert Tellis's car. I've seen it. I've seen him drive it."
So then they're like, it was for sure that this is Robert Tellis. It
So
has to
he
be.
actually called Crime Stoppers and reported, like, "Hey, I think I know who that is. I recognize the way that guy walks. I recognize his car." But
Much
the
to the
other
complete
thing,
disgust of the defense.
oh yeah, they were
You
like,
called
"How could anyone?"
Crime Stoppers?
Yeah, because he was like, "I need to do something. Like, I know who
Mhm.
this is." And at this point, the police are already looking at him, and then this is just more confirmation. But the thing that the realtor said that was so freaking funny is he's like, "Yeah, he always wore those Nikes. The kind from Marshalls or Ross, like the kind where they take all the leather out and they just put plastic in or something." And you should have seen Tellis's face. He was basically like, "Yeah, I know him. He always wears shitty shoes and he walks weird, and that's his car." It was basically the thing. But they went over the shoe thing several times. He's like, "Yeah, like those Nikes you buy at Ross or Marshalls." Like, it was like, yeah, this guy buys shitty shoes. It's one thing I've always noticed about him. Right, right. And maybe that's why he wore that hat. Because, man, you could not mistake that guy's head
Mm-mm. He'd have to have a hat
either.
on. And
Yeah.
that gigantic hat was probably the best he could come up with. Yeah.
Right? But the shoe thing was so funny because Tellis was like getting pissed. I'm like, "Buddy, the shoe shade is least of your worries right now. You are going down for murder, and your weird mannerisms are identifying you to the whole world." Because then the other realtor that is the
Oh, can
partner
you
of the first
imagine? The
guy,
jury probably couldn't tear their eyes off of him all day.
his reactions were so freaking weird. First of all, he looked disgusted during autopsy photos.
Oh, yeah.
Not empathetic, not sad or solemn. He was like, ooh, 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 kept looking disgusted. And I was like, yeah, that is not good, because you are showing disgust for the victim right now, and that does not look good. Right, Kathy? I know. I don't care where you buy your shoes, but it was so funny. It was very obvious that this realtor, who was dressed to the nines,
Oh, yes,
did not buy cheap shoes. Period. And he knew this
total
guy
snobs. Yes.
They had walked, they would do these walkthroughs through these houses when they were hiring this realtor to do the house, whatever he was going to do with these houses. They would do these walkthroughs, and he said he could easily have done 30 or 40 of those with him in the 2.5 years that they worked together. And so he's like, yeah, actually I've seen him walk a lot. And then the other realtor as well was like, yeah, I've seen him walk lots of times. And commented on the shoes too. But don't wear shitty shoes, a bright orange jacket, and a very weird hat if you don't want people to recognize you. So that's
those shoes had to be like that, or he could have never cut through them.
It is
with
true.
His wife's sewing scissors. He couldn't have.
No.
If those were like straight leather shoes, but no.
Yeah. But the whole cutting up, I'm like, this guy is so impulsive. There was no plan. He didn't know what the hell he was going to do next. And he did have a few days before they did come to him. Like, those things could have been gone from his house. But they weren't. Like, so he is married. He does have children, sadly. And he was, one of the things that was going on is that he was having an affair with one of the people working in his office.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, and then they started presenting the autopsy information about poor Jeff Garman, and oh my God, what he went through.
Oh yeah.
And how beat up he was. But one of the things, and we looked at this when we looked at Tella's weird hands, is look at this injury on his finger.
They notice on one of his fingers, he has a Band-Aid. They ask him to remove that Band-Aid, and he has a cut injury on one of his fingers. While detectives are photographing and getting that DNA sample from Mr. Tellis, other detectives go to Mr. Tellis's house and execute a search warrant.
Yeah. I mean, that's not just a little injury.
No.
But, it's pretty commonly known that if you are stabbing someone, you are very likely to stab yourself as well. Because it's, especially if the person's fighting back, like Jeff Garman did. So that's kind of where we're at. They presented the autopsy information, and then they had the police officers in to, just confirm all of the evidence that they found and chain of evidence and all that stuff. And they were confirming each other's stuff, just that it was handled the way it was supposed to be handled. And then I missed the very last part of it because my power went out. What happened at the very end there?
Oh no. Well, they still had law enforcement on the stand, and they were pretty well just reiterating the same information about all the searches and that same evidence. How, like with Daybell, they have to get everybody on that had anything to do with the chain of custody or with the evidence and talk about it, and that was pretty much it. They were cooking through witnesses today, though. I was amazed at how many they got through.
They got through a lot once they finally freaking got started.
Yeah, but the other very cool thing about Nevada courts is that the jury can write notes to the judge and ask questions of the witnesses. That was amazing. I wish the judge had been
I've never seen that
louder
before.
Because it was really hard to hear the questions. I mean, court in general was awfully quiet, I thought. But it was really cool, though, that in real time, the jury is asking questions of the witnesses. That was amazing.
Yeah, I've never seen that be allowed before. It was really cool.
Yeah.
I was trying to find, I don't have an image of the judge. I'll have one for you tomorrow.
Oh, my goodness.
The judge reminds me a bit of Cyndi Lauper.
Yes.
Like now, Her voice is very similar, kind of high and quiet and little girly.
Mm-hmm.
But she has got a hairdo going on that I am not sure what's happening. I'm not sure she knows what's happening with that hairdo. It just got worse and more pokey up throughout the day. They came back from lunch and she looked like she'd taken a nap and forgot to check the mirror before she came back to work.
She really did.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. His forehead. Botox. No forehead wrinkles. This guy has got literal mountain ranges. Tellus does.
Oh yeah.
Oh, were they in Letitia Stauch too? Oh, I did not realize that. It was very cool because at the end of every when both sides were done with a witness, the judge would say, "Do any jurors have questions?" And if they did, they'd hand up a piece of paper, and all she could do is read it out. If they weren't sure what the question meant, she couldn't expand on it at all. But I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, the judge is hilarious. Also, a couple of times the camera pans to the judge and she is like covering her mouth because she's laughing or smiling or snickering about something. And I'm like, are you trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with Megamind over there? Because we're all trying to figure it out.
Right. Everyone here would like to know.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really pretty wild. But we have a couple of other things to show you. One is, so this is a statement that one of Tellus's employees said. This is a text message, some text message statements that she received from Robert Tellus. "You've made a deal with the devil. You've ruined my life's path and damaged the office. You will have to live with everything that has been done here." And it was because this employee, last name of Reed, had talked to Gehrman and given information about Tellus's bullying and retaliation that was going on in the office. The dude he's pretty off. He is pretty off. But you have to go watch the opening arguments because they are very interesting.
They are. I do have a picture of the judge.
Oh, please.
This is the judge?
Yes. There we go. Yep.
That's that hair. Her name is Michelle Levitt. Judge Michelle Levitt.
As I understand, somebody in the chat had said she is the daughter of a very famous judge from Clark County.
Yes.
But those glasses are always kind of crooked, and she takes them off, pulls them off, puts them back on 40 times, and then the hair something's happening. Because when she turns to the side, there's like a real short spot in that hair. I couldn't quite understand what was going on in there.
Yeah. Love her, though. Love her.
Oh, yeah, she's great. She's really good. She just cracks me up. Like, this is a trial of characters. Because the defense attorney is a real character, too. And I'll tell you, consider that. He made a very lengthy PowerPoint presentation that was a part of his opening from yesterday. The one from the prosecution is like evidence. It's all evidence. His is just bullet point lists of just shit he wrote. But this is the one that I went, I don't know if this is the best use of your PowerPoint time.
Whether our founding fathers had this wisdom, the defense can't prove any of those gentlemen did this. We're not saying they did.
Robert Tellus is not guilty. It was a slide in his PowerPoint presentation. I was like, there was a lot of questionable things. There are some very questionable things in the prosecutions as well, because it flashes very quickly to videos of the dead guy, like in situ, and one of his decomposed arm sort of hanging off an autopsy table. And it's only like 2 seconds, and then it flashes on to something else. But she snuck that shit in there so that the jury saw Jeff Gehrman's body, and some of it is kind of gnarly looking in that opening. In Idaho, they would never have allowed that.
No.
Because it's fairly graphic, especially the arm hanging off the autopsy table, but it flashes I think at least 3 times that I counted
Mhm.
in her opening that like for like 2 seconds it comes on the screen and then something else comes on. It was
It's
like,
like both sides have some kind of dodgy subliminal
eh,
messaging going on.
they do. It was really weird.
Also, the
Oh,
courtroom is so
they're
empty.
Mormon, of course. Of course they are.
Oh, yes.
Her dad is the Honorable Myron Levitt, a wonderful LDS family. Oh my goodness. I was wondering when this was going to come in. I didn't want to say anything,
Why do all
but
roads? Yep.
but you may not realize it, and it probably seems weird, but Las Vegas is chock full of Mormons.
Oh,
There
yeah.
are a lot
A
of
lot of Mormons.
Mormons in Las Vegas.
Oh, Lori said she went to high school with her brothers.
Oh,
Interesting.
did you
Okay.
really? Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Oh, he's retired now. Yeah. Well, she's really great, but I was just like, what is up with her hair? It's interesting. Um, but
I just
yeah,
love her
Christine, it
demeanor.
was
I
enough to
love her.
see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of how it all began. We'll see what happens tomorrow. They say they're holding on, that they're expecting 2 to 3 weeks for this trial. I think that includes this week because they did jury selection earlier this week.
Mhm.
I'll be surprised if it takes that long,
Me
honestly,
too.
after as quickly as they got through.
Mhm.
Um, never. Oh, Grant has never met a Mormon. That's interesting. Thank you, San Willow. We appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
Oh, Kathy says I lived in Vegas for a while, and the view out my backyard was the LDS temple. Yes, yep. Our mom grew up in Las Vegas and went to Western High School, so we have a pretty strong connection to Vegas because we've
Mhm.
been there tons of times and stuff.
Well, our great grandpa still lived there until like 3 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So very interesting. I know this trial isn't getting a lot of coverage, but I gotta tell you, it's pretty worth it.
It
First of
should be.
all, murders of investigative journalists, that's scary. That's scary
Anytime a
shit.
journalist is murdered, especially when the motive appears to be because of their work, that should
Yeah.
be a big story.
Front page news.
That's
Yeah,
scary. Yeah.
it really is. And so we're going to continue to cover this. We don't know how
Yeah.
long it's going to take. Also, they're pretty lackadaisical over there in Clark County. They did not start court until 11 a.m. Pacific,
Mhm.
which was noon our time.
Yeah.
And then they had 45 minutes of testimony, and then they took a nearly 2-hour lunch break. And we were all like, are they ever coming? I finally played the entire opening statement of the prosecutor for us to watch while
Yeah.
we were, waiting. That was very weird.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't know what's really going to happen. We're just gonna roll with whatever happens here, but it
Mhm.
definitely is a Vegas style trial, and there are a lot of personalities.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting a pretty good kick out of some of them.
So I don't even really know what time court starts tomorrow. We're just gonna keep an eye on it and we'll start when we start.
We'll check and see. Finally, it's CBS News that's covering this.
Mhm.
And so we're piggybacking on them, but they
Yes.
don't like to bring up their live stream till about 30 seconds before it goes live, and
Yeah.
it's a big thing. Um, and they seem to sometimes know when court is, but they didn't really say anything
Mhm.
about when it was going to be today or how long it goes till. I mean, did it go till 5 Pacific?
Mhm. Yeah.
It
So
did? Okay. So
yeah,
we know it's going to go that long.
yep, they ended with that last witness at like maybe 8 minutes to the hour. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I guess we can plan on that, but it may be starting later in the day, or maybe that was just today. We don't really know. But just keep an eye on our lives. We'll change the time if we get more information.
Mhm.
And channel 8 for Shannon. Okay. And Shannon, thank you. Shannon is our
Yeah.
local on the ground
Mhm.
reporter who told
Yes.
me about why he was dressed the way that he was. I was
Mhm.
like,
Shannon's
he
had a
stick
lot
out
of
like
really
a.
valuable insights. Yeah.
Yes, we appreciate you very much,
She also
Shannon.
said it seems that the house is still in his wife's name. Is she still his wife? I'm not sure.
We
But
don't know a lot. Yeah, we don't know a lot about that situation. I mean, we know that
Mhm.
part of the scandal was an affair.
Yeah.
Um, so We shall see. And I know everyone's kind of freaking out, and we'll talk about it just for a minute about something that's happened with the Ashley Benefield jury.
Yeah.
And possibly a screenshot that maybe had some chatters like screen names.
Yeah.
Like a screenshot of people chatting in that trial somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a lot about that part of it, but what we do know is that there's questions about that there may be actual problems with the jurors themselves in the Ashley Benefield trial. And this was a hung jury anyway, but now there are some issues with maybe there was some viewing of stuff they weren't supposed to view, somebody talking to their brother that they shouldn't have. Apparently they got GSI. So sorry. I don't know what anyone would do with that necessarily, really, but it does kind of make you think a little bit.
Yeah. Yes. Well, let's see. I have it. I can't pull it up. My computer. We're going to have a fight. I'll read it to you. This was what we had from Defense Diaries on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
They had tweeted that Ashley Benefield's attorneys have filed a motion seeking to interview jurors as they are alleging the jury was potentially compromised as a juror was allegedly communicating with their brother via a smuggled flip phone, and that one of the jurors was a respondent in a petition for an injunctive relief for domestic violence.
Oh,
The
that's
significance
right.
is that the jury questionnaire specifically asked if the prospective jurors were currently litigants in any DV actions, to which this juror responded no.
Yeah, so may have lied on a juror form. The thing
Yeah.
is, guys, no one's doing anything illegal. And if you're just
No.
chatting along while the trial is going on, that's entirely legal. You're not
Yeah.
doing anything. If a juror is looking at that, they are the ones in trouble, not
Right.
us.
Well, yeah.
They are the ones that are supposed to stay completely away from any coverage of the trials, and they know that.
Mm-hmm.
They have had that very well. They get questioned about it at the beginning of every day of a trial, every time.
Yeah.
We've
And then
heard it 100
admonished at the end
times.
of the day again to be sure
Yeah,
that they aren't doing that. Yeah.
yeah. It
Yeah.
was definitely
So
the juror in the wrong.
yeah, so chatters, don't worry about it. No one's even going to speak to you about it. It
No.
truly has nothing to do with you except for that your name is on it just because you happen to be a part of the screenshot that was taken. Nothing
Yeah,
that you're saying or doing, it's completely irrelevant to you. So please don't worry.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not at risk in any way. And honestly, if you're worried about it, change your screen name on YouTube.
Yeah.
You could. If you're concerned, change it to something else.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
you're not identifiable anymore. But like for you, GSI, where you're only using initials,
Mm-hmm.
they don't know who you are.
No. Yeah.
And even those of you who are using your name, they still don't know who you are at
Right.
all,
It's
nor would
it's
they
a
even come
serious
at you.
No. It's a serious allegation against that juror that they were
Yes.
potentially
It
really breaching
could
the
be a
rules.
jailable allegation against
Yeah.
that juror. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
But
But that
not any of
screenshot was
us
just
just doing what we
yeah,
do.
that screenshot was just an example of these were the things that apparently they were looking at.
Yeah.
So, yeah, please don't worry. Yeah.
No, you're all safe and nobody's mad at you. It's
Yeah.
that the juror was doing stuff they weren't supposed to do,
Mhm.
which is very interesting because that was a hung jury anyway. So, but there's the claim on Ashley Benefield's side that those jurors
Mhm.
wanted to acquit her of the two top charges and were not allowed to.
Mhm.
But if the jurors were potentially compromised, then the whole thing gets thrown out anyway.
Mhm. There could easily be a new trial.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Easily.
there's going to be a new trial anyway.
Yeah.
They say there's going to be. So I think that's
Yeah.
actually just more reason that
Well,
there will be.
right, but
Oh,
YouTube
wait a minute. I'm
it
sorry.
wasn't a
I'm
hung
mixing
jury.
up
She
two
was
things. This was
convicted.
not a hung
Yeah.
jury. She was convicted.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm
They
mixing up
started
two
out
cases.
as a hung jury. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And then they ended up with conviction, but they're trying to
Right.
get a couple of those thrown out. But what they
Right.
might have to do is retry the whole damn thing.
Right.
That's
But
what
they don't want to talk to you. They have no business with you. So don't
Oh, no.
they're not going to come and look for people who were chatting on the internet about the case. That's Do you know how many people that is?
Yeah.
It's not. It's just not even about you in any way. So really, for real, they're not going to come seek you out. They're not going to ask you for your info or anything.
Yeah.
Their business isn't with you. It's with that juror entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was hung and then they gave, sorry. It
Yeah.
was hung and then they gave,
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm thinking of a different trial that we're covering at the same time. My brain gets a little fried. Okay, well, we'll be back tomorrow.
Sometime.
Whenever this court decides they're going to be back, come chat with us. It's a lot of fun. It's very interesting. We're learning a lot. And this is an interesting case. It's going to be really interesting to hear when the defense, because man, they are making some big, risky claims.
Yes, they are.
That defense attorney said that police officer's name about 40 times. Oh, Karen Reed. That's what, that's what I got mixed up with, Kathy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just kept saying his name. It's written in, in the PowerPoint a bunch of times. That's big allegations to be making against a current police officer.
Yeah.
But, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see how far they really push it, or if this was talking big. Sometimes they talk real big in their opening statements, but it's kind of a John Pryor situation. When you get to their actual case to be presented, they don't have a lot. So, I don't know, but it's definitely worth watching. So come join us tomorrow. Come chat with us. GSI, seriously, if you are worried about it, change your name.
Yeah.
Change your YouTube handle, and then no one would ever know that you were that person. They would never know.
Yep.
I appreciate you. Yes. Hey, welcome, alien spaceship sound effects and vlog. We're glad you're here.
We'll probably keep it at alien, but yes.
I tend to shorten, But hey, we'll be. Oh,
we probably won't do a recap tomorrow night. We're supposed to be going to brew at the zoo. So,
yes.
Provided that no one has COVID and we all feel good, by God, we're going. Or even if we feel kind of good, we're going.
Right. So maybe we'll recap it on Saturday or something. We'll at some point just watch, hit the bell on YouTube so that you get notified when we schedule. Yeah. Also, if you want to come join us over on Discord, we try to keep you up to date over there too. If we do something like that, we'll let you know there.
Yeah.
And you can get connected up with us and all that stuff at truecrimesquad.com. So in the meantime, go take good care of yourselves. Get some space from Megamind and Cyndi Lauper and I don't know, bald Donny Osmond and whoever was in that trial today, because I'm still trying to figure it all out.
Megamind's weird cousin. That's where I'm at. Megamind's weird cousin.
Yes, there you go. There you go. And you know it. We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.